activity. All right, now a couple other things I want to do in this first tutorial, and then we'll follow up some more details. I want to go ahead and do the page layout. Now, the beauty of the Lab Secret solution is that it comes as a blank canvas, but there's multiple zones. We've got a header area, we've got a left and right sidebar, we've got internal top and bottom content, and there's a lot of ways you can mix and match it because we have visibility controls. So let me show you the basics of how the visibility controls work. You will go back over to Appearance, open that up, and click on Widgets. You'll notice again in our basic site, we've only got a one column layout. There's nothing going on. So let's start out by adding a right-hand column. So you'll notice when I go over here, I'm going to close these up a little bit. When you click on those right arrows, everything shrinks back up. If you'll notice here on the right, I've got the various zones: header, right sidebar, left sidebar, content type. I'm going to go to the right sidebar, open it up. Then I'm going to click on Available Widgets. I want to put a Who's Online uh, widget in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here, Available Widgets. I'm going to grab the Who's Online avatar, and I'm going to drag it with my left mouse button held down and drop it into place. Now I have an option here to show however many members I wish, and 15 is a good number. You might want to adjust that to an even number, for example, if the sizing of your avatars allow it to look better because you have maybe 4 in a row instead of 5. Second of all, I can choose where the visibility is. So the two choices that can be used together, either every page except for what you put in this box, only the pages you list in this box, or click on this regex link to learn more. But basically, this allows an advanced person to have combinations of things that would not otherwise be possible. For this video, however, let's keep to the basics, and we're going to leave the regex advanced matching off, and I'm going to leave it on every page except the listed. And I'm not going to put any pages in there to exclude it. So that means that it's going to show up on every page. Let's click Save and see what happens. When I go over here, I'll click on the About page, for example, and as you can see, we've now got the Who's Online avatar box. Let's go ahead and add another widget, and I'm going to use the Recently Active Members avatar. Also, before I do, you'll notice if I click on this button here on the right side, I can shrink everything up. Makes it easier to work on. So I'm going to drag this below, and one other thing to show you before I go off this page is I'm going to save it. Whether these boxes are open or closed, when I grab them, a hand appears. You see that? If I hold my left mouse button, I can drag it above or below because these are all Ajax. That means that they dynamically change depending on where you leave them. And once I'm done with dragging it in the order I want, I go back to my page and reload, and you'll see that I've got the Who's Online and Recently Active. Let's add maybe one or two things more. The thing I want to point out to you in this basic tutorial is that a zone will be deprecated or hidden until or unless you drag something in place. So let's, for example, put something into the left sidebar. Maybe we want to put a list of pages. So if we go over here, we can go to the Pages widget. And I'm going to go, actually, I got to open this up. I'm going to open up the left sidebar area. I'm going to drag the Pages widget in there. And I can name this. I could say something like My Pages. I could sort it. I could exclude. And I can say what pages on the site to actually show this widget. I'm going to leave it at all. And I go back and reload. And when I do, watch what happens. You see, we've now got a new left column listing the page that's called About, because that's the only page that we've really got created. And it's created a new layout. Now I've got a left column, right column, and a center column. Why don't we crank it up a notch and add a top area? So what I'm going to do is close down the left sidebar area. And now I want to add, let's say, I could go into the header area. I'm going to go ahead and put something in the header area. Let's put in a universal login box. You'll notice I've got the Lab Tools login box right here, which creates an instant login form. So let's drag that in place. Now we have some choices here. I can put a title on it like My Login Box, but I don't think I need that because for the most part people know what a login box is. But what I do want to select is horizontal, because in this case, if I'm in this header area here right below the navigation, I need something that goes across the page, not vertical. So I select horizontal. And again, I want this to appear on every page. If I didn't want it on every page, I could say only the listed pages, and I could put on the slash. That would be for the home page. Or I could put on just the About page. Either way, the point is that, as I'll show you in a minute, I can selectively make it appear wherever I want. For this example, to keep it easy, I'm going to say every page, just like the other ones. When I reload, let's see what happens. Now, I see that I've got a new area in here and it says it's logged out. So what I want to do here is I'm going to open this up in a new browser window to show you, because since I'm logged in, there's nothing except a little tiny link to tell you that you can log out. But let's see what this looks like if I go to a new browser and I'm going to type in this actual URL. And you can see here that the actual logged out condition allows me to type in whatever I want for the login. And at that stage, it'll take me into the site. So this is kind of cool because you can also style this with CSS and add some custom images or other advanced things to make it look exactly the way you want. But the basics come right out of the box easy. You don't have to know any kind of programming. Okay, let's do a couple more and then we'll finish wrapping up this tutorial. Now, if I go back over here, I can go ahead and show that I want to put something, for example, into the footer area. Now, if I wanted to do that, maybe we'll put in something like a big text box. Now, in the text box, you can put any kind of HTML or standard text. If you have a need for adding PHP to your site and you're an advanced programmer, there's also a PHP widget you can drop in. But for this basics, I'm going to use a placeholder that will give us a gray box to show you what the size of the space is. So I'm going to call it image source equals, and then this is something you won't need to know, but it's a way. Placehold.it is a link that if you put it in, it'll create a dynamic placeholder. So for example, 940 by, let's see, 100 pixels high. This should create for us a placeholder that will fill in that spot and show what's exactly in the footer area. When I reload the page, you'll notice that I've now got this great little placeholder that filled up the footer. So you can see that I've automatically, with just a couple little additions, I've dragged some widgets into place and made it from a 1-column layout to a 3-column layout. Let's change it up a little bit and let's go back to removing some things on the About page to change it from a 3-column back to a 2-column. But this time, I'm going to go ahead and leave it only with a left column and no right column. So what I do is I go to the right sidebar and I'm going to adjust those visibility controls. Remember how we started the tutorial and I said I could choose to be on every page except the listed? Well, let's do it that way. I'm going to type in About and I'm going to type in About with a slash. And I don't want to forget, actually, put on like that. So basically at this point, I've got a situation where any page that I type in other than About, it'll show up. But if it's on the About page, it should be hidden. So let's save that, reload, and that one disappeared. So let's do the other ones. I'm going to do the same for the recently active members. Now, I'm going to review the syntax here in a minute so this isn't so confusing, but I just want to show you first how it worked and then show you how to make it happen for yourself. And you'll see here, and now gone to a 2-column layout on the About page with just a left column. But watch, if I go to Community, it returns to the 3-column. Why? Because remember, I was only excluding the right column elements on the About page. Now, one of the ways that this works is that this is just the same as when you look in your URL. So if I was to type the whole URL out, it'd be yourdomain.com/about. That would be what would go into your browser to get you to that page. But because this is set up to already know what the root of your domain is, you don't need that part. You only need the slash and then the actual URL link to the page that you want to exclude it from. Now, what I can do is mix and match a little bit. Let's change this up and hide that footer on the community page. So you remember when I was on the community page, I've actually used that activity as the link. And just to refresh you, remember when we were setting up the menus a moment ago, I went in here and under community, I used the URL of activity. So let's copy that and we'll just use that when we set up the footer to hide that on the community page. So I go to the footer widget container under the text box that I've got this placeholder, and I'm going to put in activity, and I'm going to say I want to put it on every page except the listed below. And just to make sure that I cover everything after it, I'm going to put slash and a wildcard. This little asterisk is called a wildcard because that indicates to the computer anything after activity in any subdirectories should also be hidden. Click on save. And we go back over here to community. Watch what happens to that footer. It's going to magically disappear. And there you go. It's gone. So look, I've got three different layouts. I've got my home page layout, which is the original 2-column. I've got the about page, which has the I should say the home page has the 3-column. Sorry. The about page has the 2-column with the left column and the main content and the footer. And the community has a 3-column layout, but no footer. So you can really see how quickly you can mix and match and do a lot of wild and crazy stuff. I'm going to leave you with one more thing in this tutorial because we're going to pick this up in a more advanced tutorial next. I'm going to show you how you can use the header area. Now, in the header area, you're going to go under Appearance, Header, and you can select to add a new image. Now, by default, they give you a number of cool little graphics, or you can upload your own. If you create your own, just make sure that the width is sized to 940 by 198. If you don't, it's not a problem. It'll give you the ability to crop it. It's just easier and probably will look better if you start out with your image sized appropriately. So let's say if I wanted to change to that sunset, I just click on the sunset and I go ahead and click Save Changes. When I do, if I go to my site, I've automatically got the new header with the sunset theme. Okay, now that we've got the header with the sunset theme in it, let's go and try to change the background area. We've got this gray area here. If I go back to my dashboard under Appearance, Background, you'll notice here that I can upload an image, or if I want, I could just select a color using the color selector. In this case, if I drag my mouse over, maybe I want to do something that goes nice with that sunset, maybe a nice, rich, dark orange color like that. When I find a color I like, I go ahead and click Save Changes. And when I do, I can go back to the site, reload the page, and you'll notice the gray background has changed to a nice color that complements the site. Now, these are just a few of the basic changes because the goal with the LabSecrets solution is that we want to keep this really simple. We want to make it that anybody who is not a developer or a web designer doesn't have to worry about getting into CSS because you'll be able to go over to your LabSecrets dashboard and simply click into the Lab Store under Themes, where you'll find ready-to-go themes that are both basic as well as some that are very exciting and unique. And of course, as we talked about, you can always go over to original site and get a lab theme custom designed for you. But if you do learn a little CSS and follow our tips, there's no problem because all the tools you need are right inside of the Lab Dashboard. So again, let's assume for the sake of argument, I wanted to get into that. I can go ahead over here under Appearance, and you'll notice the Editor tab will give me direct access to the style sheet that contains all the information about this particular theme and will allow me to customize it. The thing that's important with the LabSecrets solution is that we've separated the look and the feel from the functionality so that even if you go ahead and create a custom skin, you can always swap it out for another skin and you won't lose the layout or the functionality of any of the plugins therein. This has been Spence, the evil genius, from widgetlaboratory.com with your LabSecrets Lab Dashboard introductory tutorial.